Selena Madden is going to present on reintegrating with nature through our body and magical rituals. Selena Madden believes magic is a part of all of us and can guide us through life's obstacles. As a trained dancer and martial artist, she has cultivated her learnings and passion into a shareable practice designed to help women reconnect with their inner warrior, lover, and other archetypes. She's actively working on her dissertation for her PhD in Mythological Studies from Pacifica Graduate Institute, where she earned her MA. Pacifica has provided her the academic foundation to support her array of spiritual practices and holistic approaches for cultivating a powerful, loving, and nurtured feminine. So please welcome Selena Madden.
Hello, everyone. Let me get my presentation up. Except I didn't share my screen. Can you escape for me? 1 second. It's going a little slowly. Okay. Are you seeing the slide? Okay, thank you. So hello. I've always been involved in movement, starting with ballet and belly dance. I have taught and performed professionally, and I minored in dance for my BA. My specialty with belly dance includes dancing with snakes, and I could certainly speak more to the symbolism of snake as a tremendous force for healing and groundedness. I'm also a martial artist. I studied some Aikido, a Japanese art, some Kung Fu from the Chinese traditions, Capoeira, which is an Afro-Brazilian style, heavy with music and dance, and now Filipino arts and boxing. I've been actively involved in traditional European witchcraft. My childhood was very much influenced by many of these beliefs, and as I reached my early 20s, I found structure and camaraderie in the Wiccan traditions. I believe so much lives in our body, our ability to express, to connect, to feel, to intuit, and to share. And I have found that I best connect with my divinity when I engage with my body, when I listen to my body, and when I trust my body. When I am in touch with my body, it's as though my spidey senses are functioning at optimal levels. Today, I wish to share with you the intersectionality of nature, the body, and the divine. I believe a harmonious balance and connection between the body and our natural environment are relevant components to connecting with our sense of divinity. I will share some deities that may aid in establishing this connection, as well as practices from the traditional European witchcraft traditions. Let's talk about nature and the body. I believe the feelings of disconnect, of being ungrounded, and a lack of focus or direction may be repaired by cultivating the relationship with our body and with nature. Our body is of nature, and therefore I find it difficult to address one without the other. They are intangible. They feed each other, and when one is starved, the other suffers. It is important to spend time in nature, to invite nature into the home, and to be conscientious of the foods we consume. It is important to nourish the body, to give it proper exercise and rest. It is important to stimulate the mind. This is information we have been told many times, but it becomes difficult to actively attend to in the hustle and pressures of our society. Why do I need nature to connect? I have my phone and the internet and social media to connect to others. Sure, and while these are amazing modern day resources, electronic technology is no substitute for real people and a natural environment. While virtual online sessions are helpful, such as this Mythologium, I bet most of us would enjoy meeting in a real life setting. I'm sure many of us have heard the term zoomed out and perhaps experienced it. As the world has begun opening up, people are flocking to travel. Even during the pandemic, families flocked to campsites and to parks. The LA Times recently posted a brief article on the nature preserves around Los Angeles. The Wildlands Conservancy, which manages several Western US preserves, believes that access to nature is a birthright. I love that phrase. Access to nature is a birthright. I wonder how many of us take that for granted. Many writings have been issued reporting the surge of people to natural environments during the pandemic. On the one hand, this could stem from a sense of boredom with many of our usual entertainment resources closed. However, I believe this speaks to a primal need to feel connected, to alleviate the fears around the pandemic, and to seek a certain amount of healing from the earth and nature. The problem exists that as our bodies suffer, so does the earth, and vice versa. It is no secret that our planet is severely hurting due to our negligence and willful disrespect. And I suspect there are many of us here today who have a painful awareness of this. Now, my particular talk today is not focused on the ecological differences we can implement to try to stop hurting the planet, but I did wish to use examples indicating how deeply intertwined we are. We are connected through Mother Earth through our basic feelings, drives, and instincts. We are connected through our hunger, our fears, and our desires. I mentioned that when I feel connected with my body, my spidey senses come alive. I become increasingly sensitive to those around me. And as my partner recently commented, my intuition is great, as I know when emotions around me are off, although I may not understand the reason why. This connection warns us when something may present a danger. The little hairs rising on the back of our neck, the sudden flurry of butterflies in the gut, the hyper-focus to anything that may clue us into the potential danger. This is one example of the connection between nature and the body. A classmate of mine during the final quarter at Pacifica was trying to finalize his concept paper. He was struggling, he felt unfocused. Our professor spoke with him and learned he was living on a boat. Immediately, she told him he needed to spend time on land. He needed to feel the earth beneath his feet. He needed grounding, and she ended up being very correct. I will delve into the elements more in a bit, but essentially the earth provides one source of energy, the water provides another. The earth grounds us, and the water perhaps gives us the fluidity to navigate situations. The deities, where to begin? The selection of deities is delightfully huge. Today, I think the primordials are of great relevance, and I'm choosing to specifically speak of the Greek primordials. While we have a plethora of interesting and helpful deities, when we choose to return to the roots, to the basics, to the beginning, I believe the primordials may be our most relevant guides. In the beginning, there was chaos, the great void, the conscious void of nothingness. And from chaos emerged the primordials. I find it interesting that chaos was the beginning. I feel we as people in general seek to avoid chaos because it creates feelings of confusion and uncertainty. But without this, we cannot experience growth. We cannot appreciate the stillness. Everything really stems from chaos. It is the womb for creativity. It is the igniting spark. From chaos came Gaia, the primordial goddess of the earth. When we seek grounding and we seek connection with our planet, Gaia can aid us, as she was the first. She is the earth. Working with Gaia can set our feet in the soil. When we feel unsettled, we can ground our nervous system in Gaia. And from chaos came several others. Tartarus. Now, Tartarus may have a bad rap in the Greek pantheon, associated basically with the Greek version of hell. Tartarus is in fact the god of the pit and found his home in the deepest parts, surrounding himself with stones and stalactites and magma. But this could be seen as the womb. This is where our shadow may live, the parts of ourselves we may wish to hide from others. Perhaps to work with Tartarus connects us with our deepest desires and fears. In the pit, we can drop in. In the underground hot springs, Tartarus works to cleanse us with water, heat, and steam. Nyx, the goddess of night. She flies with black wings and is adorned with sparkling lights, much like the stars in the night sky. In some traditions, the night is the feminine, associated with the moon. Gaia bore the counterpart to Nyx, Erebus, god of the darkness, who became lover to Nyx. And when their eyes met, sparks of love flew, the same spark mortals would always yearn for. I do not think it is coincidence that the sparks of love fly under the cover of darkness, the romance, the secrecy, the lover's cape, so to speak, where two people can uncover themselves, be vulnerable, and share sides of themselves that they may not reveal in the light. We can whisper our secrets to Nyx. Gaia then birthed her own deities. Uranus, the god of the sky. The Aurea, the bundle of nature spirits who spread themselves underground and emerged as the mountains that stood tall. And Pontus, the god of the sea. From Erebus and Nyx, we have the twins Ether, the god of light, and Hemera, the goddess of day. They birthed Thalassa, the goddess of the sea, who created her own oceans and became consort to Pontus. And in all of this, chaos secretly watched, and perhaps this had been her plan all along. I feel we should also address a couple more. Kronos, the god of time. Our Westernized society is clearly dependent on the function of time. Kronos helps to give order and structure, and I feel his energy deserves recognition since he is constantly present. When we seek to meet with someone, we need to know the intersection as well as the time we should meet them. When we wish to perform a full moon ritual, we must do so in accordance with the time of the full moon. Working with time is the function of cadence, not a deity, but an energy worth recognition. Kronos brings to life in cadence a pace and a rhythm, which everything has. The bustle of New York City is akin to a complicated jazz cadence, while the beaches of Santa Barbara adopt a slower rhythm. Fighting and boxing move in time with the practitioner's heartbeat. Relationships follow a cadence, as does the growth of childhood to adulthood. The Muses. In class and in lectures, Dennis Slattery has mentioned how the Muses appear to him early in the morning. He lights a candle for Hestia to create the space, and he listens to what the Muses wish to share with him. We must be quiet for the Muses to be heard. We must be still enough to receive them, humble enough to receive their inspiration. Personally, I liken myself to a muse, and this is an important offering for me to share in my relationship. It is a quality that brings me great pleasure and satisfaction to offer. The deities have presence, but not necessarily sentience. They do not need sentience. They can house us, embrace us, drop us in, float us out, and move us. The gods are born of our imagination, and they are aspects of us. Therefore, we are not separated from them. We may feel our most divine when we are living authentically, living our truth, when we can listen to and trust our intuition, when we have a sense of our desires and decide it serves us best, as well as those we love when we pursue them. Witchcraft. I have found witchcraft to be a viable practice in cultivating connection. While witchcraft is a term that can refer to many different cultural practices, this discussion will focus on the modern era pagan and Wiccan practices originating from Western Europe. This practice fosters a respect and a kinship with the natural environment and may loosely be called a nature-based tradition. And when the practitioner, say in a heavily urbanized setting like LA, is unable to find consistent access to the natural environment, such a setting may be created in the home, strongly utilizing the practice of symbolism. In this particular vein of witchcraft, ritual commonly utilizes tangible symbols to represent natural elements, earth, water, fire, and air, as well as the masculine and feminine energies. Personally, I also find it important to integrate protective guardians for the magical workings, and I employ the Chinese food dog statues to serve the dual purpose of guardian and masculine and feminine. The elements. Earth may be easily represented with a plant or rocks, water placed in a bowl. Cobalt blue is a great option, perhaps with seashells interspersed. Fire in the form of candles or the colors red, yellow, and orange. Air in the form of feathers or incense. I have mentioned the grounding power of earth, solidity. Water energy teaches us to move with fluidity, to move around our obstacles, and over time carve our way to our goal. Water also represents our intuition. Fire brings us passion ignites and fuels that which seeks to move from inside of us. Fire transforms us, purifies us. Fire also lights our sexuality. Air is interesting to me because it can assume different forms. It can be mist, it can be wind, it can be steam, and the breath of the body is air. The creativity involved in developing an altar setup also allows one to observe the elements in their various forms. What do the symbols mean to us? What feels good when it comes to representing them and honoring them on our altar space? I also enjoy changing my altar up for the different seasons or to reflect various life stages or challenges I may be experiencing. For instance, during my dissertation process, I have integrated a statue of Sarasvati for her creativity, an image of Ganesh for the steadfast focus in study and intellectual pursuits. And as I write about particular deities, I find images to bring them to life in my work. This connects me with their archetypal meaning, and I find I am able to engage with them more deeply. This is my study altar. You can see the Sarasvati statue in the middle. Durga is off to the side. Also an image of Durga on the wall. Slytherin, because Slytherin rocks. This is what I consider my main altar. There's a statue of Kali, which a classmate gave me. The food dogs are off to the two sides. And again, other items of personal relevance to me. I have the cobalt blue bowl, candles, the feathers. So I have all of the elements represented. And I also have an ancestral altar. The picture right there is of my father who passed away a few years ago. And his picture is actually sitting on top of some of his ashes. There's a box just behind him that's the ashes of a snake that I had for 17 years, who was my totem and my spiritual companion. And so she is there. So basic ritual involves these 13 steps: physical cleansing of the area and physical cleansing of the self. This basic neo-witchcraft ritual begins with cleansing of the self and the environment. Ritual bathing is a widely utilized practice. Not only does it prepare the body and the space for the important work and connection, but it shifts the state of mind and cleanses away the stresses and anxieties of the day. The altar. It is a very common practice to set up a dedicated altar space. And in my opinion, there is no right or wrong way, but the purpose is to offer a space of focus, dedication, reverence, and offering. And this is where one has the opportunity for your creative expression in utilizing symbolism. Meditation, calm and clear the mind, slow the heartbeat, prepare to focus on the intention ahead. Casting a circle. This is a circle of protection and of concentration. We often manifest a physical circle. I have included marking a circle with ribbon. I will also draw a circle with the athame, the dagger, and create kind of this invisible wall. Calling the guardians of the four quarters. These represent the elements of earth, water, fire, and air, where you may utilize your symbolism. I've used votive candles as well in the colors of green, blue, red, and clear. Raising the cone of power. This is the active part. This is where you can chant or sing or dance. And the idea is to raise the energy. In a group, this is especially fun when you can find harmonized singing or you're dancing together. And when alone, which has often been my practice, it's a way for me to just drop in. Grounding the power. I literally place my hands on the earth and work to slow and steady my breathing, especially if I've been dancing or exerting myself. This unites us back with the ground. We offer the power that we have raised. Ceremony or prayer. This is where we recite incantations, where we speak to our desires, wishes, and offerings. And again, so much space for the creativity, poems, songs, journaling, burning incense blends, burning written intentions. Giving thanks. We must always remember to thank our deities and ancestors and the natural elements. We must remain humble and appreciative. Cakes and ale. This may feel similar to bread and wine, and the practices do in fact parallel each other. Feasting is common in many traditions as a way of celebrating the connection with divinity and offering to divinity and connection with the community. And it doesn't literally have to be cakes and ale. but the idea is to have some kind of food and beverage dedicated to the ritual practice. Remove the circle. We created the circle and we must therefore bring it down and return to the mundane world. General sharing and conversation. If solo, this may be a moment of journaling or cuddling with your cat or dog, as witches love animal companionship. I have a German Shepherd and a snake. The snake doesn't cuddle so much, but the dog is great at cuddling. I would like to touch on an example of the nature-body connection. Oh, okay, I am running out of time. I will skip. Do I have time to do a quick meditation? No, okay. Thank you for your time. Yeah, there's my social media and my website and email if you want to reach out.